But part of that is starting off with Snoop Dogg and Nelly and Soulja Boy and others for their decisions to perform at events surrounding the inauguration.
Really?
We argued.
Over Trump?
After this thing happened, he'll tell you, we talked for 2 hours shouting at each other.
Huh.
DL Hughley just did something most people wouldn't dare. He looked Snoop Dogg dead in the eye, metaphorically speaking, and called him a fraud. Not behind closed doors, not in some vague subtweet, on his radio show for the whole world to hear. And the reason? It's not about politics. It's about something way more personal. Who you claim to be versus who you actually are when the money shows up. Because Snoop just crossed a line that's got the entire hip-hop community asking one question. Was any of it ever real? Here's what went down. January 2025. DL Hughley's on his radio show and he's not holding back. He's talking about Snoop Dogg and his voice has that edge. The one where you can tell someone's been thinking about this for a minute and finally decided to let it rip. The 2025 version of you is at odds with the 2017 version of you, Hughley said. Direct quote. And that line, that's not just shade. That's a surgical strike aimed right at Snoop's entire public persona.
Snoop's argument was with Snoop, not with us. It was internal. So he changed who he was, we didn't.
The internet caught fire immediately. Twitter split into camps. Instagram comments flooded with people either defending Snoop or piling on. But the wildest part? Most people knew exactly what Hughley was talking about. Because Snoop's transformation didn't happen overnight. It happened in front of all of us. But to really understand why DL went nuclear, you gotta rewind. Back to 2017. Back when Snoop was a completely different person. Or at least pretended to be. March 2017. Donald Trump's been president for 2 months. The country's divided, tensions are high, and Snoop Dogg drops a music video that becomes instant cultural ammunition. The song's called Lavender, a remix with Kaytranada and Bad Bad Not Good. But nobody remembers the beat. They remember the visual. Snoop pointing a toy gun at a clown dressed like Trump. Bang. Fake gun, real message.
You know, me and Snoop
a
had the
major project
worst.
with Snoop got canceled because this guy said, "Oh, you're doing that? Nah, I'm good." So there's lots of people like you that are like, basically hold the line.
I said, me and Snoop had the worst argument.
Trump responded immediately, tweeted about it, called it a disgrace, said if the situation were reversed, there'd be outrage. And he wasn't wrong about the reaction, except Snoop's fans ate it up. They loved it. Because in that moment, Snoop wasn't just a rapper. He was resistance. He was speaking truth to power. He was standing up when standing up mattered. His whole Instagram became a Trump-bashing platform. Post after post, memes, videos, commentary. Snoop made it clear. He was not with this administration. Not even a little bit. He positioned himself as the voice of the people who felt unheard, the champion of the community getting stepped on. That version of Snoop, he had credibility. When he talked about injustice, people listened. When he called out hypocrisy, it landed. Because his actions matched his words. His energy was consistent. And for 8 years, that's who we thought he was. The Snoop who wouldn't bend, who wouldn't sell out, who'd point a toy gun at power and dare them to do something about it.
It amazes me that to convince black people that Donald Trump cares about them, he takes pictures with celebrities. It's amazing to me. If Donald Trump cared about black people, he wouldn't have denigrated the president with those claims of birtherism.
Until January 2025, when everything flipped. Trump's inauguration, second term. And there's multiple events happening across DC to celebrate. One of them, the crypto ball. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts, tech bros, people who made millions off digital coins. Big money, big names, big celebration. And who's performing? Snoop Dogg. Not just showing up, not just making a cameo, performing on stage at a Trump inauguration event. The same Trump he aimed a fake gun at. The same Trump whose policies he railed against. The same Trump whose supporters he clowned relentlessly for years. Social media didn't just react, it exploded. Fans felt betrayed, not because of politics necessarily, but because of principle. Because consistency matters. Because you can't spend years building an image as someone who stands for something, then flip when the price is right. This ain't about left or right, one comment read. This is about who you said you were versus who you really are. Another person wrote, so all that anti-Trump stuff was just performance art? Cool, now we know. The disappointment was thick. But it got worse when Snoop responded. Instead of addressing the hypocrisy directly, Snoop went to Instagram with a different angle. He talked about how the Black community tears each other down, how people are always looking for reasons to hate, how criticism comes easier than support.
So, of course, Snoop has responded to the backlash he received for performing for a Trump event. One of the things he pointed out was that we always stick together. We're good at tearing each other apart, which is pretty constant. It's pretty consistent when somebody gets into trouble. It takes backlash from the community. It's always a communal thing. It isn't any action they took. It is the fact that we can't stay together, that we can't stick together, that it's us always attacking us.
But here's the thing about deflection. It only works if people don't remember your own words. And the internet remembers everything. People started reposting Snoop's old anti-Trump content. The Lavender video got circulated again. Screenshots of his Instagram rants from 2017 through 2024 started making rounds. The contrast was undeniable. This wasn't about tearing someone down. This was about holding someone to their own standard. And that's when DL Hughley came back with the knockout punch. Hughley didn't let Snoop's deflection slide. He responded with surgical precision, cutting through the excuses and getting to the heart of it. This ain't about tearing you down, Hughley said. This is about you looking in the mirror and reconciling who you were with who you are now. You can't blame the community for noticing you changed. And that's the line that landed. Because Hughley wasn't attacking Snoop for performing. He was attacking the dishonesty of pretending there's no contradiction, the refusal to just own it. If Snoop had come out and said, look, my views evolved. I'm about the bag now. Things change. People might have respected that more than the deflection. At least it would have been honest. But trying to flip it into a story about black-on-black criticism, that missed the entire point. Hughley broke it down further. You can't spend years building a brand on being real, being conscious, being against certain things, then do the exact opposite and act surprised when people call you out. That's not hate, that's accountability. The response resonated because it wasn't personal, it was principle. It was about integrity. It was about the difference between someone who stands for something and someone who stands for whatever pays. And now the question's out there, hanging in the air like smoke. Who's the real Snoop? The 2017 version? The 2025 version? Or neither? Just whoever the moment requires. In the end, this whole saga isn't really about Trump. It's not even about politics. It's about something way more uncomfortable. How easy it is to perform principles when they're profitable. And how fast those principles disappear when the check comes from the other direction. Snoop built decades on authenticity, on being real, on being someone who couldn't be bought. And maybe that was always the performance. Maybe the 2017 version was just as calculated as the 2025 version. Two different audiences, two different paychecks. DL Hughley just said what everyone was thinking. If your values change based on who's paying, they were never values. They were marketing. And the rest of us? We're left wondering how many other legends are just one big check away from becoming someone we don't recognize. The mask slips eventually. It always does. Question is, who's really under there when it falls?